Hello and welcome to Lincoln to Local. I'm Rachel Havens, and today I'm joined by Senator Chuck Hall. And Senator Hall, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Will you tell our members a little bit about yourself and the area you serve?
Well, of course, Rachel, thank you for having me today. I've really been looking forward to this opportunity. So I serve as state senator in District 20. It's a pretty sizable rural district in Oklahoma, in north central Oklahoma. So I serve all of Pawnee County, all of Noble County, all of Logan County, and about 2/3 of Kingfisher County. I'm just completed my 4th year of service in the Oklahoma State Senate. I do have a business background. I'm a third-generation community banker out of Perry, Oklahoma. That's my hometown where I was born and raised. And we have offices in Perry and Stillwater. So I've been in the financial services businesses for about 30 years now before I joined the Senate.
Excellent. Well, I know throughout the session this year you were very involved in what they're calling the Service Oklahoma bill. Will you tell our members a little bit about what that is?
Sure, absolutely. So I was very pleased to join with the chairman of the House Ag Committee, Dale Curbs from Shawnee, who was the House author of the Service Oklahoma bill. So we have tag agents all over Oklahoma, and what a valuable service they provide to us as a state. It was very important to me that they maintain their viability. They are one of the last few, real holdout Main Street businesses, around Oklahoma, and we want to make sure that they are financially viable for years to come. So, as it relates to tags and titles and licensing, we were finding a situation, kind of a perfect storm, where we had COVID that hit, we had budget cuts at the state capitol from a few years ago, and then we had the Real ID deadline that was coming up. And so we had frustrated citizens in Oklahoma and frustrated tag agents, frankly, that weren't able to kick out the product fast enough. So what we did is we created a division of OMES to house tag agents who will be providers of these services going forward. They'll have standardized hours of operation. They'll have standardized services. They'll have a standardized look and feel. We will provide them training. And so the hope is that the long lines and the frustration that citizens had over these past couple of years will now subside, and we'll have a product that all Oklahomans will be proud of. My goal is that not only will we be providing tag and title and licenses services, but you'll be able to go into your local agent and get other state services as well. There is no reason why you shouldn't be able to go to the local tag agent and get a Pike Pass, for example, or be able to get a copy of your marriage license or a death certificate. So other state services that you now have to come to Oklahoma City to receive, we are hopeful that in a very short period of time, you'll be able to go to your local agent and get state services that are even far broader than just tags, titles, and licenses. So I want to give a big shout out to Representative Curbs. I mean, he worked night and day to pull together a pretty sizable bill. So we had about the 3rd largest bill that was run in the legislature this year, over 800 pages, bringing together the services that DPS was providing and OTC were providing, and streamlining that all into one function. So super proud to be able to work with him. He's a blessing to the state and to his constituents.
Definitely. Well, that's great news on the service bill there. Absolutely. So I know another thing you were involved in throughout session was the American Rescue Plan Act on a state level. Will you tell our members a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. I mean, ARPA, as it's known, the American Rescue Plan Act, was a federal response to the COVID crisis. So amongst millions and millions of other dollars that the state received an allocation of $1.87 billion to be able to use and to be able to be deployed around the state to benefit those citizens in our state that really had losses as a result of COVID, or situations that arose as a result of COVID. So what the state did is they created a portal and allowed public submissions for ideation, ideas, and plans on the best way to deploy those dollars. So we had $1.87 billion available to us. We had $18 billion worth of requests and over 1,400 individual requests. So a lot of interest in this money. But one of the best things and one of the most qualified uses for ARPA dollars is for new broadband. And particularly in the rural areas of the state of Oklahoma. And goodness, do we need rural broadband in Oklahoma. You know, when we were shut down for COVID and many schools were forced to shut down, we saw our kids, kind of develop some learning loss. And a lot of it was a result of they didn't have the broadband capabilities that maybe the metropolitan areas did. So we really believe that a big chunk of the American Rescue Plan dollars can be used to deploy broadband throughout the state of Oklahoma and really gain access for citizens. Not only will it help with the education part, but think what it would do for business and commerce in the most remote areas of the state. So I'm very, very excited about that. Other dollars will be used for behavioral health needs and health needs. We're looking for collaboration with local municipalities and counties to participate in these programs. And so we're very, very excited about what we can do with this really once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to deploy some one-time dollars to really affect the citizens of Oklahoma. So I'm very excited to be a part of that process and looking forward to seeing what this money will do to improve Oklahoma.
That's great. I know that's great news on the rural broadband front, especially.
Absolutely.
I know that's a top priority for a lot of our rural members. Well, as you know, and as our members know, the general session has concluded for the year, but we are in a couple of special sessions. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, we have an active special session going now, which is referred to as the XX session, and so that was the call of the legislature. The purpose for that call was to deploy these ARPA dollars that we just talked about. Initially, so that's the fundamental purpose for the XX session. But additionally, we're looking to deploy $250 million in economic development around the state, so we know Mid-America and Pryor is looking forward to a sizable investment by a group that we're referring to as Project Ocean, and we want to replicate that model around the state of Oklahoma and give rural areas a real opportunity at economic development. So the legislature has made available $250 million, and we want to come in special session and develop a program where we can send out that money for industrial park improvements, airport improvements, economic development center improvements, and really help the rural areas with business and commerce, and not just one particular area of the state. So I'm looking forward to being a part of that process. And then, of course, we know that the governor has called us into special session to begin on June 13th. That's referred to as special session XXX. What he's looking for in that special session is an inflationary relief package to be addressed by the legislature. So we'll come in on that Monday, the 13th, and we'll take a look at that. I really think that you'll start to see a change and an adoption in the legislature special session, where we'll look at not just the two specific areas that the governor wants us to address with inflation relief, but an overall widespread inflation relief package that may take on a little different look and feel. But the legislature will come together, we'll discuss it, and hopefully create a package that will benefit the citizens, because we are all struggling with inflation. But we also have to be protective of future needs for the state. I serve as vice chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, and we are truly blessed right now with an influx of cash. We have a huge savings account. In fact, it's the largest in state history, and we're really proud of that. But in my belief, we are so artificially propped up by the federal funds that have come down from the federal government that we may not really have a feel for exactly where we are financially. So there's a balancing act that we have to do. We have to balance the quality products and services to the citizens and to the taxpayers and the people that put this in our office, and we have to protect for future needs. And so we'll be juggling those balls, doing the balancing act to try to create a package that gives relief to the citizens, but still protects us from the economic downturns, the ups and downs that Oklahomans have seen throughout the years. We're still so supportive and value the oil and gas industry in this state. Oklahoma has been great with economic diversification. I think about aerospace and the film and music industry that has affected all of us around the state. But we still have to be protective of the economic ups and downs. And as long as I'm in the position that I'm in, I want to protect against that. And of course, with my background in banking, a savings account is never a bad thing.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Senator Hall, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Lincoln to Local.